So it's September the 1st. I'm gonna collect these apples and do a test because I built the apple juicing rig.
Every year around this time of year, I regret how much of the apples just go to waste. They just drop from the trees and rot on the ground.
So that's the first bucket collected, and it went really quickly. What I'm also going to do for this next bucket is I'm actually going to see how long it takes to fill a bucket. But the apples are now, I've got all the low ones. I have to get the ladder. So, timing, 20 past 10.
So this year, I decided to do something about it. So I viewed a few videos on YouTube to see what's involved in juicing apples. Now I wanted to make the process as quick and as easy as possible.
I wonder.
And I quickly found out that there was a couple of pieces of equipment which would make things much, much easier.
Yeah, that way. I think I'm going to find a stick or something so I can shake the branches. Now what I'm also going to do here is keep a count of how many buckets. That's 3 buckets in here. This is almost full. I think 5 buckets will do it. So I can get an idea of how many buckets of apples it takes to fill the juicer basket.
The first thing I was going to need would be an apple press. And there are loads of these available on the internet. But like I said, I want to make things easy, so I went for the biggest one that I could find, which takes 30 litres of apples at a time.
4 buckets. That's basically full. Okay, so from now on I can just collect straight into that, and I know that it's 4 buckets worth. Get those loaded up.
In addition, I could really speed things up and make it much more efficient by getting an apple shredder or an apple crusher. So had to have a look at that. And I went with not the biggest, but not the smallest, but one that would allow me to crush apples whole without having to first cut them up by hand. But it's not just about having the right equipment, it's about making it easy to use. So I put everything together into a single unit, the crusher and the juicer or the press, all in one unit, put it on wheels and made it so I could have all the buckets, everything in a single unit. Because I know that if it becomes a hassle to get all the different pieces together, it's just not going to happen. This way, you can wheel the whole thing out right next to the apple tree, and it's easy.
Here's the rig. I bought this apple crusher. Actually turns the other way. And I bought this apple juicer, which has this thing. Instead of 30 litres, it's meant to take. And I decided just to go straight out and get decent stuff. So that if this works, then I'm not going to regret getting something too small. I've got a big one of these, and I got the more expensive version of these. So you don't have to chop the apples at all, you just throw the apples in full. I had this old axle off of something else that broke. So I built the whole thing on the wheels. These came with this thing. There was 2 for each side, so you can put them between 2 chairs and stuff like that. But I decided just to not bother using the other 2, but these 2 turn out to hold a bucket perfectly, so I kept those. I built a little compartment down here to keep all the wooden blocks that come with this, and I made some extra wooden blocks because I read comments on people who have bought these things and they all say the same thing, that there should be more wooden blocks with it. Let me show you the other side. So I've got two of these big buckets that are a bit flexible and they fit in here under the shredder.
So I came over to my neighbour's place because they actually had an apple tree that fell down. It was so full of apples. It was a tree that's not in good condition, so it fell down, and just seemed like a sin to let all those apples go to waste. And that's what 4 buckets of apples looks like crushed up. So I'll just start filling up this basket and we'll see how full we get. So that's 4 buckets of apples crushed in, where's my timer gone? 11 minutes 51 seconds, 12 minutes. We just say that's 15, that's 16 buckets an hour. Okay, let's see how much that fills up this thing. Of course, it wasn't long until the neighbours turned up to see what was going on, and so I gave them a taste of the apple juice and got myself some free helpers.
Siri.
Five buckets. Fill it up. 5 buckets of apples. So then, with the basket full, you just pull the edges of the strainer bag up and fold those over, and then place in the 2 semicircular wooden blocks that came with this apple press, and then a whole load of the extra blocks that I made on top of that. Screw the wheel down onto the threaded bar and start squeezing. It quickly became clear that it really was a much better idea to just put all of the wooden blocks in underneath that wheel before starting to squeeze. So then of course you have to unscrew everything, get that wheel right up, take out the blocks, and then you have to lift the whole basket and bag off of that central threaded shaft. remove the bag from the basket and empty it and start all over again. So one thing we learnt was that you get much more juice out of the apples by tightening a bit and then waiting for a while until the juice flow slows down before retightening again and then waiting. And if you're wondering what we did with the crushed and squeezed apple pulp, that all went to feed the neighbour's sheep. So, how did we do? Over the course of 4 hours, we made 50 litres of apple juice. That's, of course, 12.5 litres per hour. It took 5 buckets to fill the basket, and we squeezed 6 loads, 6 basketfuls. So we processed 30 buckets of apples. And we got 1.6 litres of apple juice per bucket of apples. Or another way to say it is, for each time we filled up that 30 litre basket with the shredded apples, we got 8.3 litres of apple juice. So 20 litres of our apple juice went to make cider, and it turned out really, really good. So overall, I think a success. And the really nice thing is that this thing's ready to go next year, all in one packet. And I never have to feel bad again watching apples rot on the ground. So, thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful to somebody. And I'll put some links to the apple shredders and apple presses in the description below.